Welcome to another session of restful knitting and reading. Today's text is taken from a book called The Woman and the Car, written by Dorothy Levitt in London in 1909. I will read an introduction to the book and then the first chapter. This chapter will include information about how to choose a car. Now, settle yourself into a comfortable place. Take a relaxing breath in and out. Release tension in your face and shoulders. And we begin. The Woman and the Car, a chatty little handbook for all women who motor or who want to motor. Written by Dorothy Levitt. Published by John Lane Company in London in 1909. Introductory. In presenting this book to the public, the publisher is acting largely on the request of some hundreds of ladies, some already motorists, others would-be motorists. Miss Dorothy Levitt, last year, wrote a short series of articles for the Daily Graphic on the subject of motoring for women. These articles attracted a great deal of attention, and Miss Levitt was inundated with letters from all parts of the United Kingdom and also from abroad, asking her for further information on various points and also begging her to publish the articles and additional information in volume form. Miss Levitt was also asked to contribute articles on the same lines to many magazines and weekly publications, and further received requests from a number of distinguished women to give them personal instruction in the art of driving and managing the mechanism of their cars. As the simplest way of answering all of these requests, Miss Levitt has revised and enlarged her former articles and has added new chapters and a great deal of matter which she believes every woman motorist or beginner will find of use. There has been no attempt to make this volume a formal textbook on monitor. There has been no attempt to make this volume a formal textbook on motoring for women, but rather a chatty little handbook containing simple and understandable instructions and hints for all women motorists, whether beginners or experts. The facts contained in the various chapters are not those gathered from any standard manual of motoring, but are from Miss Levitt's own practical experience of 6 years daily driving, in all sorts of cars, in all sorts of weather, and under all sorts of conditions, pleasure trips, long-distance tours at home and abroad, and in competitions. There may be points here and there which she has overlooked. Miss Levitt, however, will answer such questions or furnish such further information as readers may properly desire, either through the medium of His Majesty's mails or perhaps in a later edition of this volume. The photographs, with which the several chapters are illustrated, were specially taken for the work by Mr. Horace W. Nichols. London, February 1909. Dorothy Levitt, a personal sketch. It is not considered difficult for mere man to write about a pretty young woman, yet in the case of Dorothy Levitt it is difficult. There are so many things in her delightful private life which would have a vivid interest for the public, but I am forbidden to tread too deeply in that direction. Dorothy Levitt is the premier woman motorist and boaterist of the world, and she is ready to prove and uphold her title at any time. In the United Kingdom, in France, and in Germany, she has achieved distinctions, won success, and carried off trophies such as no woman and few men can claim. 5 years ago, Miss Levitt won the Championship of the Seas in the great motorboat race at Trouville, France, defeating all comers. 3 years ago at Brighton, she won a race and created a world's record for women of 79 3/4 miles per hour. The following year, she broke her own record and created a new world's record for women of 91 miles an hour. Looking at Miss Levitt, one can hardly imagine that she could drive a car at such terrific speed. The public, in its mind's eye, no doubt figures this motor champion as a big, strapping Amazon. Dorothy Levitt is exactly, or almost so, the direct opposite of such a picture. She is the most girlish of womanly women. Slight in stature, shy and shrinking, almost timid in her everyday life, it is seeming a marvel that she can really be the woman who has done all that the records show. And the way in which she came to be a motorist, it is a story in itself. She was from childhood a good cyclist, a good driver of horses, a rider to hounds, an excellent shot with rifle or gun. Fishing was her favorite pastime. She was quick of eye and sure of hand, and nerves troubled her not at all. A friend, owning a motor car, paid a visit to the family in the West Country. In a very few days, Dorothy Levitt had become well acquainted with the intricacies of that motor. She handled the wheel as well as the owner or his chauffeur. She attended, as a spectator, a county competition, driving the car with such skill that the attention was attracted of the manager of a big motor firm. He secured an introduction and asked her to drive one of his cars in a competition. She agreed, and thus became the first Englishwoman to drive a motor car in a public competition. Her first prize was won a month later, and since then she has steadily mounted the tree of her chosen profession. Yet she has remained an amateur, accepting no money prizes, only medals and cups and such like trophies. In hill climbs, endurance, and speed trials, she is alike invincible. At the first aerial hare and hounds race of the balloons this year, she was selected as the umpire. The most careful, as well as intrepid and fast-driving motorist was wanted. Miss Levitt unerringly followed the hare from London to near Arundel, Sussex, and was on the spot when the first balloon among the hounds descended near the hare. Miss Levitt has been offered many enticing professional engagements on the continent and in the United States, but prefers to remain at home and an amateur. In appearance, Dorothy Levitt looks partly French, partly Irish, with a soupçon of American. Yet she is wholly English. Of medium height, her figure is slim and very graceful. She has a very girlish but expressive face, large eyes that are brown and gray and green in varying lights, brown hair that curls, a straight nose that has the bare inclination of a saucy upward tip, and a mouth which is too large. It is a charming, winning face. The one fault of Dorothy Levitt is her modesty, almost amounting to bashfulness. One cannot get her to tell much of her many exciting adventures, particularly those of which she is the heroine. She is immensely popular, has been toasted by royalty at German motor banquets, elected honorary member of many of the first automobile clubs in this country and on the continent, and has a host of friends, some in the sacred circles of society, others distinguished men and women of the more bohemian circles of art and literature, music, and the drama. She is an inveterate first-nighter, wears simple but ravishing clothes, and, to those who do not know her, passes as a bright butterfly of fashion. In a flat in a quiet but fashionable neighborhood of the West End of London, Miss Levitt lives the life of a bachelor girl. There, she has a housekeeper and a maid, and a tiny Pomeranian, one Dodo, to keep her company. The flat contains, as its feature rooms, a Louis XIV drawing room and a Flemish dining room, the latter the scene of many little luncheon parties for which Miss Levitt is also famous. Hers is a busy life, involving many thousands of miles of travel in the year. She is to be seen at Ascot, Goodwood, Cowes, at Henley, at Ranelagh. Today she may be in London. Next week you may hear of her as in France or Germany, taking part in a motor competition. The week following she may be in Scotland, or of a house party in the Shires, or boatering in the blue waters off the Riviera coast. It is little wonder that her ambition is to leave the gay whirl and to settle down quietly in the country, with her motor, her dogs, and a fishing rod and a gun. And now, The Woman and the Car, Chapter 1. The car, its cost, upkeep, and accessories, which includes motoring as a pastime for women, patience of more value than nerve, selection of a car, single cylinder the best for women who are going to drive themselves and attend to the mechanism, cost of a small car, necessary accessories and their cost, expensive upkeep, the necessary licenses and the cost. Patience, the capacity for taking pains, is of more value than the most ponderous nerve. You may be afraid, as I am, of driving in a hansom through the crowded streets of town. You may be afraid of a mouse, or so nervous that you are startled at the slightest of sudden sounds. Yet you can be a skillful motorist, and enjoy to the full the delights of this greatest of outdoor pastimes, if you possess patience, the capacity for taking pains. Motoring is a pastime for women, young, middle-aged, and if there are any, old. There may be pleasure in being whirled around the country by your friends and relatives, or in a car driven by your chauffeur. But the real, the intense pleasure, the actual realization of the pastime comes only when you drive your own car. I have hunted, and was one with those who declare that the most glorious of all outdoor life is in the saddle, on a fast, clean-jumping hunter. But when, by accident, I took up motoring, I found the exhilaration, the delights of the gallop doubled. It fascinated me, and it will fascinate any woman who tries it. I am writing this little book not so much for those women who have already taken up motoring, but for those who would like to, but either dare not because of nervousness, or who imagine it is too difficult to understand the many necessary details. In the following chapters, I will endeavor to explain everything in the simplest possible manner, without lapsing into confusing technicalities. The first thing to discuss is the car. There are scores of makes, good, bad, and indifferent. I have tried many different makes and have come to the conclusion that the Dion is an ideal single-cylinder car for a woman to drive. It combines simplicity with reliability, two very important items to the automobilist. For your own driving, if you are going to attend to the mechanism yourself, you should purchase a single-cylinder car. More cylinders mean more work, and also more expense as regards tires, petrol, oil, and etc. The single-cylinder car is the most economical to run. Being constructed in a much lighter manner, the weight on the tires is less. Consequently, the tire bill is smaller, a matter of great importance in the upkeep of a car. The horsepower of a single-cylinder car is usually 8 HP or less. As regards carriage work, of course the purchaser can suit herself, but the Victoria type of body has the most graceful lines. Color, also, is a matter of one's own selection. Dark blue, brown, green, red or cream, they all look well, and can be picked out with lines to match the upholstery, or further embellished with a top panel of basket work, as is the car in the photograph. Such a car as I have described will cost new from £230. This price, however, is for the car itself, upholstered and complete as to seats and side lamps. It is the accessories that bring up the cost. It adds greatly to one's comfort to have a hood, made of either black leather or a khaki-colored canvas, with nickel or brass mountings to match the finish of your car. Such a hood will cost in leather about £20, and in canvas £18. I am quoting for the best quality in every instance, for with motoring it is quality that counts in the long run. A folding glass screen with nickel or brass fittings framed in stained wood will cost £10. The front lamps will cost about £6 per pair, and the rear lamp £1 to £1 5 shillings. A waterproof rug can be bought for £1 to £2. The car will, of course, seat two, but it is often advisable to have a third seat. This should be constructed so as to fold down when not in use, and would cost £15. You can have a stationary seat fitted for £10, but these do not look so nice, though quite as comfortable, as those that fold down. In addition to these things, it is necessary to carry a tire repair outfit, which will cost about £1. Also, the following tools and spares: ammeter, jack, pliers, spanners, carburetor jet key, large and small screwdrivers, hammer, oil can, grease injector, tire pump, sparking plug, inlet and exhaust valves, trembler blade and screw, some washers, split pins, file, very fine file for platinum points, emery powder, insulated tape, and some waste or swabs. In buying your car, you will probably find that the last car you were on is, quote, the best. It is liable to become somewhat confusing if you go for many trial runs, but one thing to bear in mind is that the car will do 5 miles an hour faster than the one you previously tried is not necessarily the best car. It may be faster while it is running, but it may not run for long. Therefore, take my advice and pin your faith on the car with the reputation for reliability, the one that will not entail a big expenditure every few months for repairs. Nearly all of us nowadays have some motoring friends who have probably had experience with different makes of cars. Their experience should benefit you in your choice. There are some very inexpensive cars on the market, but inexpensive only as to initial outlay. They are likely to prove themselves sorry bargains before many months have passed. One of the chief joys of motoring is to feel that you can rely upon your car. In regard to housing the car, if you are not fortunate enough to possess a stable or garage of your own, one of the following courses is open to you. Hire a stable or garage and a man to attend to the cleaning of the car. place it at any one of the many garages, public and semi-private, now in existence, or you can stable it at the nearest mews and arrange with the ostler to do the washing. I cannot give the exact cost of the first and last of these, as they would naturally vary. But if placed at a regular garage, the cost would be from 8 shillings 6 to 12 shillings 6 per week. Another outlay is to be found in tips. The men at a garage are always hungry for tips, and your car will be polished with greater zest if the tips are frequent or generous. The advertisement of the no-tip garage is a fallacy. The proprietor may consider this principle the right one, but if you act according to his ideas, your car will probably suffer. Petrol varies slightly in price, but is usually from 1 shilling to 1 shilling 4 per gallon. As, with the car illustrated, you are able to run 28 to 32 miles on 1 gallon, you will see that petrol is not a great item. The next duty that devolves on you after becoming the owner of a car is to procure your license. There are 2. 1, a license for the car, the same as a carriage license, the cost of which is governed according to the weight of the car, probably near 2 guineas. The other, a driving license, costing 5 shillings. Both of these are to be obtained from the London County Council offices in Spring Gardens, London, southwest, or in the country at the various county council headquarters, though the carriage license can be obtained after due application at almost any post office. Your driving license is an official printed paper with your name and address written in. To obtain a number for the car, it is necessary to apply to Spring Gardens or any of the registration and licensing authorities in the United Kingdom. If one writes to a county council, the letter should be addressed Clerk to the County Council of County Council Offices and if to a county borough, to the Town Clerk, Town Hall The registration fee is 20 shillings. You will have to fill up a form and will then have a number registered. This number you must have painted on 2 tin plates, white on a black background. The figures must be 3.5 inches deep. These number plates must be affixed to the back and front of your car. The back one must be so placed that the light from the back lamp is thrown on it, and thus the number distinctly seen at night. It is also necessary for part of the rear lamp to show a red light. You should never go in your car without this license, your driving license, for you must produce it when asked by the proper authorities or pay the penalty of £5. But more of this later. Today's reading is finished. Stay where you are for a few more minutes if you need more rest. Until next time, take care.